Many people spend years thinking about the future they want while avoiding the reality of the present they have. They want change, progress, peace, confidence, success, or stability, yet continue living through the same habits, reactions, and decisions that keep them where they are. This is often where frustration begins. People wait for motivation, better circumstances, more support, or a different opportunity. They hope life will eventually shift in their favor. But meaningful change rarely begins with external conditions. It begins with ownership. Before a person can shape their future, they must first take responsibility for their present. Ownership is difficult because it requires honesty. It asks a person to look directly at their choices, habits, and patterns without immediately blaming other people or circumstances. This does not mean every hardship is self-created. Life can be unfair. People experience setbacks, disappointments, and situations they did not choose. However, ownership begins by recognizing that while a person may not control everything that happens, they still control how they respond moving forward. Many people become stuck because they give away that control. Blaming circumstances can feel temporarily comforting because it removes responsibility. If everything is someone else's fault, then there is no need to change. But this mindset also removes power. A person who believes their life is entirely controlled by outside forces will often remain passive, waiting for something external to improve before taking action themselves. Ownership changes that dynamic. When a person takes ownership, they stop focusing only on what happened to them and begin focusing on what they can do next. Attention shifts from blame to action. This is where personal power begins to return. Habits play a major role in this process. Much of life is shaped not by occasional big decisions, but by repeated daily choices. Small patterns, repeated consistently, eventually become identity. A person who constantly delays difficult tasks, they develop a habit of avoidance. Someone who repeatedly breaks promises to themselves, they weaken trust in their own ability to follow through. In time, these habits quietly shape outcomes. This is why ownership requires more than awareness alone. It requires action. A person must be willing to examine the behaviors that are contributing to their current situation. This can be uncomfortable because it removes excuses. It becomes harder to say, "Nothing ever changes," while continuing the same routines, the same reactions, and the same decisions. Ownership is not self-punishment. It's not about shame or harsh criticism. It's about recognizing that change becomes possible the moment responsibility is accepted. The moment a person says, "This is where I am, and my choices moving forward matter," they begin reclaiming influence over their life. There is freedom in that mindset. Without ownership, people often feel trapped by circumstances. With ownership, even difficult situations begin to feel manageable because attention moves toward what can still be controlled. Effort becomes more intentional. Habits become more disciplined. Decisions become more aligned with the future a person wants to create. Ownership also builds self-respect. Each time a person follows through on something they said they would do, trust begins to rebuild internally. Discipline becomes less dependent on motivation and more connected to personal standards. Confidence grows not from external validation, but from consistent action. This process is rarely dramatic. Most of the important changes happen quietly. A healthier routine, a more honest conversation, a difficult truth finally acknowledged. Small decisions repeated consistently begin to shift the direction of a person's life. The future is not created all at once. It's built through the ownership of daily choices. That is both the difficult part and the empowering part. Because while nobody can rewrite the past, every person still has influence over what happens next. The moment ownership begins, the possibility for change begins with it. And often moving forward starts with nothing more than deciding to stop waiting for life to change on its own. Most people think identity is something that forms slowly over time. They believe it comes from evidence, past experiences, achievements, failures, and the opinions of others. In this view, identity is simply the result of what has already happened. But identity rarely begins with evidence. It begins with belief. Every person carries a story in their mind about who they are. Sometimes the story is empowering, sometimes it's limiting. Yet whether your story is helpful or harmful, it slowly becomes the blueprint for your behavior. A person who believes they're disciplined will naturally look for ways to act with discipline. A person who believes they're capable will approach challenges differently than someone who believes they're destined to fail. Over time, these behaviors compound, actions repeat, patterns form. Eventually, the belief becomes identity. The problem is that many people unknowingly adopt beliefs that work against them. Somewhere along the line, they decided they were not good enough, not talented, not confident, or not the type of person who succeeds. These ideas may have started with a single experience, a harsh comment, or a painful failure. But the mind has a strange habit. Once a belief is accepted, it begins searching for proof. Evidence is gathered carefully. Every mistake confirms the belief. Every setback reinforces the story. Even success is often dismissed or minimized because it does not fit the narrative. Slowly, the belief grows stronger until it feels like an unchangeable truth. What began as a thought becomes a personal identity. And identity is powerful. People rarely act outside the boundaries of who they believe they are. This is why so many individuals feel stuck, even when opportunities exist all around them. The limitation is not always ability or circumstance. Often it's the invisible framework of belief that quietly defines what feels possible. Yet the same principle that traps people can also free them. Belief does not require proof to begin. In fact, belief often creates the proof. Consider how many transformations in life begin with nothing more than a decision. Someone decides they are going to become healthier. Someone decides they will become more resilient. Someone decides they're no longer the person they used to be. At first, there may be little evidence to support the new belief. The person may still feel uncertain. They may still carry old habits. But the belief begins shaping new behavior. A small choice here, a different response there. Over time, those choices begin to align with the new identity. The individual who once believed they lacked discipline begins acting like someone who possesses it. The person who doubted their strength begins responding to challenges differently. Slowly, the evidence starts to appear, but it appears after the belief was chosen. Identity begins to shift. This is not about pretending or ignoring reality. It's about recognizing that identity is not fixed. The stories we tell ourselves are not permanent truths. They're interpretations, and interpretations can change. Beliefs are powerful architects. They quietly design the boundaries of a life. If someone believes they're fragile, they will avoid pressure. If they believe they're resilient, they will grow stronger through difficulty. If they believe growth is possible, they will continue moving forward long after others have stopped. Over time, the belief becomes the person. Many people spend years waiting for evidence before allowing themselves to believe in who they could become. They wait for confidence before taking action. They wait for certainty before trusting themselves. But belief rarely follows proof. More often, proof follows belief. Identity, then, is not just something discovered in the past. It's something quietly created in the present. Every belief accepted today becomes part of tomorrow's self. The question is simple, but powerful. What kind of person do you believe you're becoming? Because whatever the answer is, your life will slowly begin to move in that direction. We're in the most connected time in history, yet loneliness has quietly become one of the most common human experiences. Messages are sent and received instantly. Faces are always within reach on screens. Updates, photos, and opinions move faster than ever. And still, many people feel unseen, unheard, and deeply alone. This is the loneliness paradox. We're surrounded by connection, yet starved for closeness. Loneliness today doesn't always look like isolation. Often it exists in full rooms, busy workplaces, active group chats, and long contact lists. It shows up as the feeling that no one truly knows you, that conversations stay on the surface, that you're present but not fully understood. This kind of loneliness can be harder to name because on paper, life appears full. One reason this paradox exists is that connection has become efficient, but not always meaningful. It's easier than ever to communicate, but harder to be vulnerable. Many interactions are built around performance, sharing highlights, staying agreeable, or appearing fine. Over time, people learn to edit themselves. They share what's acceptable, but not what is true. The result is connection without depth. Loneliness also grows when people feel pressure to handle everything alone. Independence is often praised, but emotional self-sufficiency can quietly turn into emotional isolation. Many people carry stress, doubt, grief, or uncertainty without expressing it, believing they should be able to manage on their own. But did you know that humans were never meant to do life entirely solo? Strength has always included the ability to be supported. Another layer of the paradox is comparison. Constant exposure to curated lives can create the illusion that everyone else is more connected, more fulfilled, more understood. When people compare their internal experience to others' external presentations, loneliness deepens. It becomes easier to believe that something is wrong with you, rather than recognizing that many others feel the same quiet disconnect. Yet loneliness is not a personal flaw, it's a signal. Like hunger or fatigue, it points to a need, the need for real connection, the need to be seen as you are, not as you perform, the need for spaces where honesty is safe and presence is mutual. Loneliness does not mean you lack people, it often means you lack resonance. Resolving the loneliness paradox doesn't require more social activity. It requires a different kind of connection. Fewer conversations where everyone stays guarded. More moments where someone speaks honestly, listens fully, or allows silence without discomfort. Depth matters more than volume. This begins internally. Many people feel lonely because they've learned to disconnect from themselves. They ignore their own emotions, minimize their needs, or rush past discomfort. Reconnecting with others often starts with self-connection, acknowledging what you feel, what you need, what matters to you. When you're honest with yourself, it becomes easier to be honest with others. Loneliness also softens when expectations change. No single person or group can meet every emotional need. Community is built over time through consistency and shared experience. Small moments of genuine connection, a meaningful conversation, a shared struggle, a quiet understanding, they all accumulate. They matter more than dramatic gestures. When experiencing loneliness, it's important to know that you're responding to a world that often moves fast and connects superficially. Wanting depth is not a weakness, it's a sign of emotional awareness. The loneliness paradox will not be solved by more noise. It's eased by presence, by honesty, by choosing depth over distraction, even when it feels vulnerable. In doing so, connections slowly become real again, not louder, but truer. Persistence is not about pushing harder every day. It's about staying engaged when the excitement wears off and the path becomes ordinary. Long after motivation fades, persistence is what keeps you moving. Not because it's easy, but because you've decided the outcome is worth the effort. Most people quit quietly, not in a dramatic moment, but gradually. They stop trying with the same care. They miss one day, then another. They tell themselves they'll come back later. Persistence fails not from one big decision, but from many small ones made without awareness. What makes persistence difficult is not the work itself, but the waiting. Waiting for results, for confirmation, waiting for proof that the effort matters. Growth rarely offers immediate feedback, and without persistence, uncertainty becomes unbearable. People don't stop because they can't continue. They stop because they don't see enough reason to. Persistence requires patience with the unseen. It asks you to trust that progress is happening even when evidence is thin. Most meaningful changes happen beneath the surface first. Skills develop quietly. Strength builds invisibly. Confidence forms slowly, reinforced by repetition rather than reward. There will be moments when persistence feels pointless, when it seems like effort isn't being noticed or returned. These moments are unavoidable. They are not signs you're failing, they're part of the cost of doing something that matters. Persistence isn't about feeling inspired. It's about honoring your commitment regardless of how you feel that day. It's also important to understand that persistence is flexible. It doesn't demand perfection. It allows for rest, recalibration, and adjustment. Persistence means you return, not that you never struggle. It means you refuse to abandon yourself when progress slows. Many people confuse persistence with pressure. They push until burnout, believing exhaustion equals dedication. True persistence is sustainable. It's measured. It respects limits while maintaining direction. It's the ability to keep going without destroying yourself in the process. What persistence builds is not just results, but self-respect. Every time you stay consistent through discomfort, you reinforce trust in yourself. You prove that your word matters, even when no one else is watching. That trust compounds. It becomes the foundation for confidence that doesn't depend on outcomes. Without persistence, effort becomes emotional. You act when things feel good and withdraw when they don't. But growth doesn't operate on emotion. It responds to consistency. Persistence creates momentum, not through intensity, but through reliability. The difference between those who progress and those who don't is rarely talent. It's who stays when things become slow, repetitive, or uncertain. Persistence closes that gap. It keeps you in the game long enough for growth to take hold. Progress doesn't require perfection, it requires presence. It requires the willingness to continue showing up, even imperfectly, rather than disappearing when the road feels long. Persistence is not glamorous. It doesn't offer quick validation, but it works quietly, relentlessly, over time. And eventually, what once required effort becomes part of who you are. That's the real power of persistence. Not just what helps you achieve, but who it turns you into. Many people set goals with genuine intention. They want to improve their health, strengthen their mindset, build a business, deepen a relationship, or create a life they feel proud of. The desire is real. The hope is sincere. But when the time comes to take action, many find themselves stuck at the starting line. Not because they lack ambition and not because they lack potential, but because they simply don't know what to do next. This uncertainty leads to hesitation, then second guessing, and then frustration. And before long, the goal they once felt inspired to start feels overwhelming. It becomes easier to say, I don't know where to begin, than to admit something else, that the path already exists and guidance is available. The truth is, almost anything worth doing has been done before. The path might not be identical, but the patterns are there. People have succeeded in every field, overcome every challenge, and navigated every type of uncertainty. And the lessons they learned along the way are out in the open for anyone willing to study them. Books, courses, mentors, coaches, role models, stories. Each one is a blueprint waiting to be used. Success doesn't require guessing. It doesn't require reinventing the wheel. It requires learning from those who walked the road before you and allowing their experience to shorten your learning curve. This is not about copying someone else's life. It's about understanding the principles that consistently lead to growth. Every mentor, every successful individual, every person who has changed their life has followed certain fundamentals: discipline, patience, consistency, humility, and the willingness to learn. These principles are timeless because they work. They don't belong to any specific industry or generation. They're simply the foundations of progress. When you learn from others, you gain something priceless: clarity. The fog of uncertainty begins to lift. You start to see that your obstacles are not unique, and your challenges are not impossible. You begin to recognize patterns in the stories of people who've struggled, adapted, and eventually succeeded. Their journey becomes a map you can use, not to eliminate difficulty, but to navigate it with confidence. And yet many people avoid this step. They believe they should figure everything out alone. Others fear asking questions or reaching out for help. Some think learning from others somehow diminishes their independence. But seeking guidance is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of maturity. It shows a willingness to grow, to stay open-minded, and to learn from wisdom earned through experience. When you allow mentors and proven paths to guide your next steps, you carry less weight. You don't spend months stuck in trial and error. You don't waste energy on guesswork. Instead, you move forward with a sense of direction and purpose. The journey becomes less confusing and far more achievable. Learning from others does not replace your personal effort. It strengthens it. It gives you tools, insights, and strategies that you can adapt to your own life. It reminds you that you're not walking alone. It reinforces the truth that success in any form is not a mystery. It's a process. When you're standing at the edge of a goal feeling unsure of what to do next, you don't need to abandon the dream. You need guidance. You need models. You need examples of people who've already walked through what you're walking through. Their lessons can become your foundation. So use the knowledge available to you. Learn from those who came before you. Study their habits, their failures, their resilience, their willingness to keep going. Not because you need to become them, but because their path can illuminate your own. Every journey becomes more possible when you stop walking it blind. Follow the examples, apply the lessons, let their wisdom give you clarity, and then take the next step, your step, with confidence.